Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the second day of the Canaccord Genuity 41st Annual Growth Conference. My name is Mike Walkley. I'm the IoT Software Security and Communication Software Analyst for Canaccord. It's my pleasure to introduce Eric Millam, Vice President, Research Operations, and Ryan Perma, Chief Security Architect for Blackberry. They're going to go through a presentation, but then we're going to leave some time at the end for Q&A. So investors joining us today, please type in questions and we'll try to get to those. And with that, Eric, I'll pass it off to you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hi there, my name's Ryan, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Blackberry today. And Blackberry is a brand that many recognize, and for that, we've had a 35-year journey of technology and innovation, kind of driving to where we stand today. In our past, Blackberry has been a major player in mobile hardware, mobile phone hardware, but where we are today is a pretty fundamentally different beast. Like the internet, Blackberry's story is really one about connectivity and the data that ships. It's been about connecting devices and securing the data both at rest, at use, and as it's transitioning. From our mobile phone background, we've grown. Particularly our business today represents two kind of key areas. One of them being a predominantly IoT connectivity area with our investment in QNX being one of our lead elements there. QNX serves as the operating system for over 195 million cars and has a very broad placement across the rest of the IoT world. Our other side of the business, and where we're going to be spending a little bit more time focusing today, is on our enterprise security area. I joined Blackberry through the acquisition of a company that I started called Silence in late 18, early 19. We focus on building solutions to secure the entire estate of an enterprise IT department, from mobile, laptops, servers, whether they're in cloud or in data centers, from end to end, and from the entire security lifecycle, from policy all the way through response. Eric, gonna flip? Excellent, thank you. We do things a little bit differently than a lot. Prior to starting Silence, I spent a lot of time in the traditional antivirus world, where most security software is a very responsive type of technology. The bad guy has to act, and the good guys have to respond to that action, and it becomes a cat and mouse game as you begin to progress. We decided, both during my tenure at Silence and now really focusing on broadening this at Blackberry, to take a much different approach. We want to focus on preventing the attacks as early in the cycle as possible. The old adage of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure really rings true when you start considering things like ransomware attacks that become excessively expensive to attempt to recover from. Breaches are happening every single day, so taking a preventative approach gives you a different risk model that allows you to stop worrying about the low-hanging fruit and let your security staff really focus on the areas that are necessary for humans. Sure?
All right, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, in a time where security products relied heavily on detection of known threats, we started with the idea about having the ability to use AI to determine if a file was good or bad before it's run and before it was ever known. In order to make this idea reality, we collected a large amount of data, which formed the basis of our first model, known at the time as Apollo. It was the start of a revolution that now sees our Windows model at its 7th generation. We now have products which include models for Windows-based file systems, Mac OS, several Linux-based distributions, as well as Office documents and PDFs. We've expanded into the mobile arena with an APK model for our mobile threat detection product, and our Persona and Gateway products take advantage of several different AI models to ensure robust protection for today's zero trust cyber concerns. Obviously, 2021 has been an incredibly busy year in cybersecurity with major attacks against critical infrastructure, healthcare, and others, as ransomware continues to be the scourge of the threat landscape. Our protective advantage against some of these biggest threats this year show that the model we built in 2016 effectively predicted and prevented the malware used in today's attacks. Blackberry products are protecting our customers against these threats by using our forward-looking technology to stop these attacks with a 5-year advantage over industry awareness. So obviously, to ensure we stay ahead of the curve, we track a large set of worldwide threat actors using machine learning and AI indicators. For every threat actor we do identify, we build models to identify, not just their APT level tool sets, but also the tactics that they're leveraging. And we built a true hunting model that greatly expands on detection capabilities. And by leveraging all the data that we have from all the indicators based on several different layers of data coming in. This obviously allows us a unique opportunity to identify threats faster and take proper actions, either as threat hunters, customers directly through an automated response, or with our guard analysts. All products in our platform incorporate machine learning, which continues to prove that we're the most innovative AI-driven company in this space. Our focus and determination ensures we're not going to stop listening, learning, growing, or innovating. So developing and employing an automated product allows us to utilize new and existing technologies in ways that significantly reduce the need for a human resource. This allows us to focus really more of our time on providing meaningful threat context in a universally consumable standard that empowers customers to make the most informed decisions possible in a timely manner. It's always been at the forefront of our strategy to ensure that our solutions can scale with automation and not rely solely on human decision-making. We understand data and its meaning to us as a company and our customers, and regardless of structure, origin, or location. This allows us a way to persist data in a structure that supports easy shared access and processing, so it can be reused and shared amongst all portions of our products and platforms. And by having experts who understand and can continue vetting the data flowing in from these multiple sensors, we can ensure that we always have the highest fidelity event alerting. This allows for automated responses to prevent threats and provide remediation that continues to improve even as attacks continue to grow more sophisticated.
Earlier, I mentioned about breadth. A lot of what we focus on our enterprise is really about the estate. A modern IT organization has assets deployed all over the world, whether we're talking about laptops that are traveling, increasingly so now, mobile devices that are BYOB, and also just go everywhere with your employees. Servers sitting in the cloud, servers sitting in data centers, even servers sitting underneath somebody's desk. These assets are out there and they need to be protected. And Blackberry Spark is our platform approach to consider not just the breadth of devices, assets that you have, but also the entirety of the life cycle of security. Oftentimes, security is referenced in concepts like kill chain, where an attacker first finds you and then takes a first step and grants a foothold, uses that foothold to spread laterally, and then starts to do their target, whether that's ransoming your data or exfiltrating it. By considering sort of that life cycle of security, that preparation, definition of policy, understanding where your assets are, begins to help you know what you have to protect. starting with a prevention approach allows you to stop as many of those attacks early in that cycle as possible. But we all know that there is no silver bullets in security. And so being able to detect things that are still happening, not just external threats, but also insider threats, and respond effectively, both through an incident response capability, as well as having the right kind of data at the right times, becomes really important. And that represents sort of the entire security response lifecycle. Now, our Spark platform really focuses on a broad set of capabilities, all enabled by an underpinning platform. And this platform is much like an iceberg, where there's artifice on top, but the vast majority is the data. And being able to spread data across multiple pillars or product lines helps each one synergistically. For example, what we find in a mobile device has direct applicability with your identity. Concepts around zero trust networking are really real-time threat assessments against each of these individual data points, where you've been on the network, where you, which programs you've been running, where you are physically in the world. All of these have interesting data points, and they're natural data exhaust from these products brought together and meshed with an artificial intelligence layer through a common data platform. This leads to a broad set of capabilities, both today and tomorrow, that we're able to understand in a broader total information awareness type of approach. And this enables not just our products, but also the capabilities of the modern SOC or Security Operations Center, and those through an ecosystem of partners. Eric, you want to talk a little bit about XDR and how that applies in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. Organizations have adjusted their approaches to capturing, sharing, and managing corporate data as an asset. It's definitely the currency that we use these days. The value of data has evolved tremendously over the past few years, and people want to make the most of it to glean insights and ensure maximum protection. Blackberry has taken an approach that allows our products to include data from other sources to ensure those who come to us have a full ecosystem of coverage across a multitude of platforms. Extended detection and response, also known as XDR, is primarily a data inclusion and enrichment strategy. This means that it incorporates all the information that we have from our products, as well as telemetry from partners and other sources. This data is then combined to create additional context, which is then shared as intelligence within our product. This level of detail creates the opportunity to enable automated responses to remediate a detected threat. Also, the collection of data for detection and response allows product development to be proactive to customers' needs and asks. Increased cyber threat intelligence allows us to proactively remediate risks and then inform the customers of the prevention of the risk to their organization. Combined, this novel intelligence, when leveraged for threat hunting, improves product capabilities and increases market opportunities. Blackberry continuously prioritizes listening to customers, partners, and analysts as equals to build a solution that meets current and forward-looking expectations. We obviously have an extremely compelling vision where our products work together to not only prevent and detect events, but to provide our customers with data and peace of mind that actually helps them sleep at night. Couple these products with our services such as Guard, which I'm going to talk about next, and we have a truly unbeatable combination. Organizations are suffering from fatigue of having too many alerts to chase without the ability to really quickly prioritize those alerts. Security teams are tasked with enhancing their organization's security maturation. However, they're limited by skill sets, tools, and technology. And so, putting staffing shortages, expertise gaps, budgetary shortfalls, employee turnover, and all other issues aside, The attacks themselves are becoming so complex, organizations can't tell if they're generic or targeted. And this makes it significantly more difficult to detect. And even when they are detected, gauge the extent of the compromise and the damage to the organization. So companies are looking to organizations like Blackberry that have an established reputation for security expertise to help them manage their risk. And Blackberry Guard, which is our managed detection and response service, it provides a 24/7 security monitoring. With lack of skilled security personnel who can defend against complex modern attacks, more and more companies are turning to a managed service to protect them. With the combination of our endpoint security product, expert security analysts, we can provide customers with that peace of mind. And true MDR is extremely complicated and takes a very unique skill set most organizations don't possess. A key component of the skill set is really related to the detection piece, which is a human-led threat hunting intelligence. This ability leads to increased detections and direct improvement to the enterprise protection platform. An individual that does threat hunting for a living, they have to understand an ever-evolving threat landscape, changes daily. Threat hunters need to be able to understand if there's an active attack as quickly as possible. And to do this, they have to constantly be researching threat actor tactics, techniques, and procedures. An effective response component in MDR allows for the immediate disruption of the attack chain. It begins the incident response process with a confident understanding of the threat, including root cause and potential effect to the organization. The goal of response is to be able to tell the full story around the event, not just identify that an event occurred. And another important part, a coordinated and effective response is paramount to ensuring the ability to prioritize and investigate alerts quickly and effectively. It allows organizations to prioritize alerts with true business context in a way that leads to a timely determination of the scope and impact of the incident. And so when a customer has Guard, they have a team that works on their behalf to detect threats in a timely manner and to reduce the time needed to respond to those threats. This helps lower the cost of cyber threat investigation. It mitigates business interruption and also any unplanned costs associated with cyber threats. With that, we thank you. I guess we have open for questions.
Great. Thanks, Eric and Ryan, and thanks to the audience. There's a ton of questions, and I apologize in advance that we're running short on time. I won't be able to get to all of them. But the first question, Eric, it's a common theme of questions from the audience. There's a lot of competition in the endpoint security market right now, and there's the leaders such as CrowdStrike and SentinelOne in particular that seem to get a lot of investor focus. Can you share how you compete with them and maybe where you differentiate versus what CrowdStrike and SentinelOne offer?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, and I think Ryan alluded to this maybe in the second slide, but our competitors are really focused on post-breach events. After the wolf is in the hen house, stop the bleeding. And that's really just like the old days of AV where there's a sacrificial lamb. As discussed, in this presentation, we tend to focus on prevention first. Don't let the wolf in at all. We prevent breaches. Everything we focus on is to accomplish that goal, regardless of platform used by our customers. We use AI and ML in all of our products and all of our threat hunting and across all of the data that we have. And that provides us a very efficient and effective platform to protect our customers.
Great, thanks. And Ryan, just we spoke about the new entrants, but there's some of the legacy players that we think are ceding market share and offer big growth opportunity for next generation cloud companies such as yourself. Can you talk about the legacy players like a Symantec and McAfee and Trend Micro? Are they innovating at all, or are you seeing them as an area for you to capture market share?
Sure. My history came from that space, and all of them are very intertwined. The reality is a lot of the modern next gen players were born of that. Both CrowdStrike and Silence came predominantly out of McAfee being acquired by Intel. These were understandings of where the investment was being made, and frankly, to a large degree, almost a seeding of the market to the attackers. I spent a lot of years as an AV antivirus apologist, helping people understand why they still needed to pay their antivirus bill, and I got tired of that. The reality is a lot of the core technology that we've been relying on, whether we're talking about firewalls or whether we're talking about antivirus, is a very reactive technology. It requires an intense amount of human capital to sustain, and it's always falling behind every single day. Now, when we started Silence, we focused on application of artificial intelligence to try to solve this. It's not that Symantec and McAfee haven't invested in artificial intelligence now. Realistically speaking, their challenges these days are less about innovation and more about capitalization. They've been pushed around and sliced and diced so many times. They've lost a lot of their key talent from the past. And while they have a broad portfolio, it's an aging portfolio. They're sticking around because a lot of the contracts are pretty long-term contracts, and they have established market presence. But by and large, those in the next generation, the CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Silence, Carbon Black, have been fundamentally getting budget from the traditionals. Now, that will continue because I don't see a lot of recapitalization in a lot of the traditional space. However, you never know. The right combination with the right leadership over there could bring one or more of them back to life strongly.
Great. And Ryan, sticking with you, it's great to see you again. I remember you speaking at the Blackberry Analyst Summit about the work around the data lake. With the rise in all these ransomware and targeted threats, do you consider your data lake approach to cybersecurity really the only way forward at this point?
It's funny. I started my career as sort of the in-house bad guy, focusing on understanding threats to better counter them. If 10 years ago you had asked me if math and data were the answer, I probably would have laughed at you. Reverse engineering and understanding attacker tactics were my jam. The reality is, at the scale that we're dealing with these days, data is our only chance. And with the scale of data, concepts like data lake become imperative. Being able to process billions of events a day and make sense of it is something that it's a capability that we have now that we've never had before. And it's going to become imperative, not just to prevent the threats that we're seeing today, but as Eric mentioned, threats are becoming increasingly more complex. They're hitting on multiple segments. Something may come in on your cell phone and transit over to your interior network. If you're looking at individual data points along those lines, you're going to miss it. And so having a place where you can effectively analyze and understand data, where you compare data science, subject matter expertise, and engineering to find and stop and hopefully predict the next attack becomes absolutely imperative. Our data lake approach is at the heart of a lot of what we do in our platform, bringing together data from multiple product lines, multiple device platforms, and bringing in data from outside, threat intelligence, understanding from a variety of external sources, all feed into us making better decisions on a daily basis.
Great, thanks. I know we're short on time. I might sneak in just one last question here. We'll wrap up with Eric. I thought it was interesting. BlackBerry's noted that none of your Guard MDR managed detection and response customers were impacted by the SolarWinds breach. That's pretty impressive. Can you give us some additional details on how the services portion of your security business is trending and what a typical customer looks like?
Yeah. I mean, obviously that is correct. And so what I would say is the great thing about Guard is that it really works for everyone on every level. So as we talked about, some companies are just simply overwhelmed and want us to kind of handle everything on their behalf, right? And there's a fair amount of those that come to us with that alert fatigue and that need or lack of skill set. But others have a team or security persona, but they want another set of eyes watching over them. So we have, obviously, our level of expertise allows for that as well. But additionally, there's also like large, mature security, organizations and companies, but they also want to use Guard and leverage the high level kind of threat intelligence that we offer as part of that. And so what we're finding and what we kind of already knew, and it's just kind of playing out, is it's simply a solution that really works for everyone's needs. I guess what I would say that small and medium-sized enterprise segments are probably expected to be the fastest growing in the MDR market. North America, followed by Europe, is expected to have the largest market share in MDR. But we're seeing Guard doing well as both a standalone offering and as an upgrade for folks who might already have Protect and Optic. So as Ryan was saying, bringing all those sensors together into one place, using our AI models to run over the data, is paramount to making sure we protect the customers, and that's what Guard does.
Well, great. Well, I apologize again to the audience. Didn't get to all your questions. We'll send them over to management team. They can follow up with you. And Eric and Ryan, thanks for presenting today. And Eric, I have to imagine the Guard MDR has got to be a great on ramp for some of the other security modules you talked about, those higher margin modules. So great story, great opportunity for your growth areas. And thanks again for presenting in our conference today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.